every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I'm Gete in our major story. President Muhammadu Buhari finally moves into the presidential villa 3 weeks after swearing in. Also in this program, governors of the People's Democratic Party set to meet on choice of new chairman. Former Akwa Ibom Governor Gatsulu Pabio and his successor meet with former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Appreciate him for his wisdom and counsel inside Nigeria now. African American Church, where 9 parishioners were shot dead on Wednesday, reopens for service amid tight security. Good to have you stay tuned with us. Now, details of the headlines and other stories. President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday evening finally moved into his official residence in the presidential villa Abuja. Buhari and the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo have lived outside the villa and used the Defense House Abuja as their offices since the inauguration 3 weeks ago in order to allow renovation works to be carried out at the facility. The president's wife, Aisha Buhari, had moved into the official residence since last Thursday. Buhari, who returned to Abuja from Katsina State on Saturday, began the movement of his property to the seat of power on Sunday evening. Bishop of the Calabar Diocese of Anglican Communion, Tunde Adeleye, on Sunday advised President Muhammadu Buhari not to discard the report of the national conference conducted during the administration of his predecessor, Goodluck Jonathan. This came just as the bishop called on Nigerians to pray for President Buhari in order to defeat the Boko Haram insurgency. Adeleye said this in Calabar during a news conference on the state of the nation. He advised the Buhari administration to look into the report of the last national conference and implement the areas that are beneficial to the masses. According to him, the conference was the only time that Nigerians truly came together to discuss about the affairs of the country. He commended the president for his efforts in drawing international support for the fight against Boko Haram, adding that Nigeria could not do it alone. The cleric described the resurgence of the sect activities in parts of the country as a big problem for the new administration. He, however, said that Buhari had started well by seeking more collaborative efforts from the international community to tackle the menace head-on. The current crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress worsened on Saturday when senators loyal to Senate President Bukola Saraki vowed to resist alleged moves by the APC national leader Bola Tinubu and other party chieftains to impose senators Ahmed Lawan and George Akume as the Senate leader and deputy, respectively. Ahmed Sani Yerima and Danjuma Goje, who spoke with journalists in Abuja, specifically declared that the plans by the leadership of the APC to fill the remaining 4 principal officer positions with ranking members of the Senate Unity Forum was totally unacceptable. The remaining leadership positions yet to be filled in the Senate include Senate Leader, Deputy Senate Leader, Senate Chief Whip, and Deputy Chief Whip. The APC leadership had allegedly been perfecting an arrangement which would see Lawan emerging as the Senate leader and Senator George Akume as his deputy. The pro-Lawan group, which has the backing of Tinubu, has also said to have picked Professor Olushola Adeyeye Oshun as the Senate Chief Whip, while Abu Ibrahim from Katsina State would be his deputy. But Sani Yerima, a former Senate Deputy Minority Leader, and Goje, a former Governor of Gombe State, insisted that the pro-Saraki, like-minded senators would resist imposition of principal officers on the chambers. Former Vice President and Chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Atiku Abubakar, has warned of the danger in any individual or group and the ruling party constituting themselves into an opposition before the composition and takeoff of the Buhari government. He also exonerated himself from the purported hijack of the party and the National Assembly ahead of 2019. The former Vice President said this while speaking for the first time on issues surrounding the emergence of Bukola Saraki and Yakubu Dogara as Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives. In a press statement released by his media office in Abuja on Sunday, Atiku described ongoing development in the party as the interplay of forces and interest. He, however, noted that such political interest should not be promoted to the point of being a threat to democracy and the new administration. The former Vice President argued that because of the historic nature of the mandate of President Buhari and the task ahead, it is important for party members to rally behind him and the quest to enthrone good governance, the will for security and stability, as well as economic and social development. He also urged APC members to emulate the unity of all the presidential contestants after the party's Lagos primaries and support the president to form his government and get to work. Atiku noted that the recent outcome of the National Assembly election, a product of interplay of politics, which according to him is itself in constant motion. The APC chieftain also denounced what he described as the increasing determination of some people to draw a wedge between President Buhari and himself. The Action Group Caucus of the All Progressives Congress has warned members ganging up to fight the national leader of the party, Bola Tinubu, after benefiting from her support, that they would live to regret it. The AG said the June 9 National Assembly executive elections had pointed to the fact that there was a coup against Tinubu, President Muhammadu Buhari, and all that the change was meant to herald for Nigeria by those who bleed for our economy to the present state. In a release signed on Sunday by its spokesperson, Segun Dikwe, the group observed that some elements believe that they could maintain their popularity only by deintegrating Tinubu and telling lies against him. According to APC AG, Tinubu has been there for a while. He is a long-distance runner and will surely survive their intrigues. Nigerians also who agitated for the change and made great sacrifice to get it will for sure be the loser for it. The group said that the history of Nigeria has replete with such acts of betrayal and its attendant repercussions. The recent development in the nation's political arena with the emergence of leadership in the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly of joint leadership between two political parties has been described as a healthy development for the nation's political maturity. This thumbs up was given by two former speakers of the Plateau State House of Assembly in a recent chat with our Plateau State correspondent. Details in this report presented from our studios.
With the Plateau State House of Assembly following the trend set by the Senate in the emergence of its leadership with the Speaker, Peter Hazy, and his Deputy Yusuf Gadi from the All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party respectively, commendation has come for the legislatures in the move. For John Clark the Bulwan, a former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, this shows that the nation's politics is fast maturing and partisan inclinations are no longer important for the welfare of the people.
I think in a very straight word, I will just say that this is serious growth in democracy. Because if it has to do with democracy, it has to do with the nation or the state, not party and also not individual. So this is a clear indication that our democracy is speedily maturing.
For this former speaker, it's Fanus Mwansa, his role in midwife in the emergence of the new State House of Assembly leadership With the emergence of Speaker and Deputy Speaker from different parties, is one indeed to ensure the continued cohesion and development of the state.
This is a new government coming in place, and we feel that we owe it a responsibility to start on a very smooth and clean note by agreeing with ourselves. We are going to be working as a house for the next 4 years, so the starting point is also very important. It will lead us into the future. So I think what I did was in the best interest of the House, the system, and of course the government generally.
Though many have commended the emergence of the joint leadership by the Senate and some state houses of assembly, others have also called for caution. But for these, former Speaker John Clark Debuwan, party leaders, and all Nigerians should accept this new arrangement to ensure a truly independent legislature.
Well, if there's opposition to this kind of arrangement, I think maybe it's maybe an issue of maybe interest, or it was not properly done as expected. But I think the hollow chamber is a hollow chamber that people exercise their right. But to the best of my belief, party has a principal role, of course.
For the former speakers, this trend may be good as former members of the legislative arm of government, but time will tell indeed if it's a good development for the nation's democracy.
It's CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break. Please stay with us.
That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts
When it's close to the time, our people will protest naked.
on national issues.
That was their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And they do it
Politics is about being a servant.
passionately,
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
sharing the adorable word of women
There are some women who have what it takes.
in politics,
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. When she's too soft, she's too soft.
only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. It's CoreTV Primetime News. Now a quick reminder of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari finally moves into the presidential villa 3 weeks after swearing in. Governors of the People's Democratic Party set to meet on choice of new chairman. Former Akwa Ibom State Governor Godswill Akpabio and his successor meet with former President Olusegun Obasanjo to appreciate him for his wisdom and counsel. Now, do not forget that you can also catch us on our social media platforms on Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTVNews, on Twitter at CoreTVNewsNG, and YouTube at youtube.com/CoreTV Live Space News. We continue with the rest of our stories. For the second in the last 2 days, another group led by former Akwa Ibom State Governor Godswill Akpabio has visited former President Olusegun Obasanjo for consultations at his hilltop residence in Abeokuta. The group, which also includes Akwa Ibom State Governor Emmanuel Udom and former prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, Sunday Mbang, however, say they are in Abeokuta for what they described as appreciation visit. Details of this report is by Amotayo Alo.
The former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, has been in the news lately due to his residence becoming a mecca of sort, just as it was prior to the 2015 elections. The latest group to meet with former president was led by former Akwa Ibom State Governor Godswill Akpabio. After a time out of the elder statesman, the leaders of the Land of Promise say the visit was to thank the leader for being supportive of the African project, as he was described as the father of nation by the Dole.
And I've never heard him say so. PDP remains the only party that in every single unit in this country, every little child will know a PDP as a party. In a place like Akwa Ibom, I keep saying so, PDP is even like a religion. Short of somebody who stands in the church to lead praise and worship, instead of saying praise the Lord, saying PDP. So nobody can say such a party is not a formidable institution in this country. It's still one of the largest parties in Africa in terms of membership and spread.
Commenting on the last election, the former governor Godswill Akpabio stated that the judiciary have the right to hear cases brought to the tribunal, but maintained that PDP is an household party in the state which was destined to win even if elections were conducted 5 times in a row.
I actually believe in the will of God, and I believe that the judiciary is still alive to its responsibilities, and that the judiciary remains the hope of the common man. And so the Akwa Ibom Election Tribunal, it's normal for people to challenge an election after the election has been done. But like the governor pointed out, PDP is like a religion in my state, and I know it is so in many other parts of the federation. So even if we do election 5 times in Akwa Ibom, PDP will win 5 times in Akwa Ibom. So the word there is no shaking.
While asserting that there was no regret in his 8-year rule, Akpabio enjoined senators to support any move to reduce cost of governance in order to save money for the president to carry out developmental projects in the country.
The Lagos State chapter of the People's Democratic Party says it will want Governor Akinwumi Ambode to probe its predecessor, Babatunde Fashola's 8-year administration. The PDP also expressed its displeasure over what it described as a slow start of the new government, saying it wants Ambode to hit the ground running. The party, in a statement issued on Sunday by its publicity secretary, Taufik Gani, said the inability of the incumbent governor to probe Fashola and begin in earnest development works in Lagos was a bad omen for any meaningful development in the coming 4 years of the administration. The major opposition party in the state alleged that the 8 years of ex-Governor Fashola was characterized by human rights violations and misappropriation of funds. The opposition party stated that Ambode should find out how the sum of 68 billion naira was spent by Fashola's government. The People's Democratic Party has advised Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola to suspend his plans to create additional 39 local council development areas in addition to the existing 30 local government areas in the state. The Director of Media and Strategy of the PDP in Osun State, Duron Odeyemi, gave the advice in a statement in Osogbo on Sunday. According to the opposition party, the situation on the ground now does not call for creation of new councils when the existing ones have not got enough funds to make them impact positively on the lives of the people at the grassroots. The last House of Assembly, which had all its members from the ruling party, had some days before the expiration of their tenure passed a bill to establish 39 additional local development areas. This followed the outcome of a referendum conducted by Osun State Independent Electoral Commission. This was preceded by the bill sent to the House by the government to seek the lawmakers' approval for the creation of the new council areas. The PDP stated that rather than taking into consideration the peculiar needs of Osun State and its financial capacity, the governor was busy copying Lagos State programs, even when they were not needed in the state. Efforts to get the reaction of the governor to the PDP's advice was unsuccessful, as inquiries sent to his media aide, Ishemu Okonlawon, was still being expected as of the time of filing this report. The People's Democratic Party in Ekiti State has alleged that the recent workers' verification exercise in the state has revealed how over 4 billion naira entitlement of workers was diverted to the All Progressives Congress. The party alleged that ghost workers detected during the exercise was among the methods used to perpetrate the fraud by former Governor Kayode Fayemi's administration. In a statement by the State Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Jackson Adebayo, in Ado-Ekiti, the party claimed that some of the civil servants who collaborated with the APC in the shady deal and who claimed that they were short-changed exposed the deal. Adebayo said the money involved in the fraud, amounting to 2.1 billion naira, was withdrawn from the salary accounts of civil servants and moved to the APC Secretariat for sharing from time to time in the 4 years that the government led by Fayemi lasted in Ekiti State. The PDP spokesman also ordered that the missing deductions from workers' salaries from the months of April, May, June, July and August 2014 running to about 1.8 billion naira was also traced to the APC Secretariat. Chairman of the All Progressives Congress Bayelsa State Chapter, Tiwei Oruminge, has said the party will not adopt any candidate for the coming governorship election in the state. He said the standard bearer for the party would emerge a strict primary election that would be conducted by the party. Orumingwe made the clarification at the news conference in Yanogwa. He further reiterated the expulsion of two party leaders, Richard Bodo and Frank Oputu, saying their expulsion remained that the party stood by that action. He said the suspended members, 7 of them, including the former secretary of the defunct new PDP, Mr. Godwin Sidi, had the right to fair hearing and right to defense. He said already the SWC had set up a committee in respect of that, stressing that party constitution also stipulates that they still have the right to appeal if the committee found them guilty. Governor Kinwumi Ambode of Lagos State on Thursday approved the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Ojudu Bega bus stop. The governor also visited some of the major traffic points in the metropolis. Ambode, who spoke at Dokpemu in Agbado Okeado local council development area after the inspection, said that his administration will provide solutions to traffic snails in the state. Kaduna State government is to begin biometric verification of all civil servants on its payroll from Wednesday, 24th of June 2015. The exercise, according to government officials, is to provide the El Rufai administration an accurate and reliable record of its personnel numbers and clean up its payroll. Special Assistant Media and Publicity to the Governor, Samuel Aruan, said in a statement that the data collected from the exercise will enable the government to determine monthly expenditure in all the ministries and agencies. A circular signed by the head of service, Alice Batu Dada Onazi, said that the biometric registration exercise will be conducted simultaneously in Kaduna, Kafangchang and Zaria. The head of service directed that civil servants should physically appear before the verification team for screening, as well as collection of their salary checks for the month of June 2015. The senator representing Lagos West Senatorial District, Solomon Adeola, has called on Muslim faithfuls in his district and beyond to use the month-long Ramadan to pray for peace and development in Nigeria. Adeola, who spoke through his media advisor, Kayode Odunaro, stressed that he had no doubt that Allah answers the prayers of those who pray diligently in the month of Ramadan. He charged Muslims to use the period for reflection on their faith and their relationship with their Creator. The lawmaker called for togetherness and harmony with members of other religious backgrounds. He has stated that Islam is a religion of peace and harbors no form of violence, calling for members to live by the Holy Book. Let's continue with the Ramadan fast. Muslim clerics in Owerri, Imo State, have called on Islamic faithfuls to shun all forms of evil. He urged them to rather concentrate on the dictates of the holy month and observe the daily 5 obligatory prayers as well as the voluntary ones.
A Muslim fasting is expected to do away from the don'ts, the prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ordinarily, a Muslim should be a conscious one who will do away with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited and try as much as possible to fulfill what He has commanded us to do. So, but most especially in this holy month, we are encouraged or urged more to be more of God's consciousness due to the virtue of this holy month.
The Sakin Hausawa, who is the head of the Mahausas in Imo State, in a chat with CoreTV News correspondent in his palace at Amma Hausa community, admonished his followers to observe the holy month diligently.
All Muslims used to gather in the mosque. I used to lecture them that please, this month is the holy month. We're going to send the Holy Quran for us to the Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the holy month who God asks us to sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice our food, sacrifice everything, not to drink water, not to talk lie, not to cheat one of our brother, not to cheat one another friend, not to do bad thing, not to kill anybody, not to play any trick to any person. Please just continue in your fasting and holy fasting as you holy like yourself.
He also called on Muslims across the country to take advantage of the holy month and pray to God for the development of Nigeria. With the issue of the fuel subsidy still on the front burner, the Center for International and Advanced Professional Studies has put together a seminar with the theme Fuel Subsidy, to take a closer look at fuel subsidy. Precious Kingston, who was there, has more in this report as presented from our studios.
The issue of fuel subsidy is one that has become the proverbial bull in the china shop for Nigeria. With this in mind, speakers at the seminar gave an account of what they believed can be done to address the issue. First to speak at the event was Henry Boyo, an economist who made an analysis of the current state of affairs and what can be done to ensure that the nation overcome its perennial fuel crisis.
If you believe that Dangote's refinery would add more, maybe it would make supply very accessible, but in terms of price, things may not really change.
Also speaking at the event, Tosin Adeyanju, whose speech was aimed at finding out if the people really have access to the subsidy, disclosed that it is only thing Nigerians get from the federal government. He added that its removal will only exacerbate the already gloomy economy outlook of the nation. Director of the Center for International and Advanced Professional Studies, Anthony Kila, in his contribution, says subsidy should remain until there is a compelling reason for its removal.
For me, I'm an advocate of subsidy should stay because I believe that's the only thing Nigerians enjoy. In terms of social services, it's difficult for us to see what the government really offers.
My stand is that they should leave it until they show us that they have a moral authority to take it. Because if the people saying I'm going to remove fuel subsidy and do something else with it, our people will see as people who are going to use it for their own private interest, then they should leave it, because that's the only thing people have. But if the government can make a case to say, look, this fuel subsidy is unaffordable, and this is what we're going to do with the money, and this is what we're going to do with those people who have stolen the money before, then I'll be with them.
But for Mobolaji Aluko, subsidies should be on commodities that have a direct impact on the lives of the masses.
Somewhere along the other, they have decided to put a subsidy somewhere in which everybody enjoys that subsidy, whether it's in education. When you say education is free, you are subsidizing it somehow. Food is cheap. Somehow it is being subsidized. Fuel is something, it is being subsidized. So let's first get away from whether there should be subsidy or no subsidy. The question is, on what should we have the subsidy and how should it be managed?
This participant, Barbara Udo, told CoreTV News that the controversy over fuel subsidy seemed fishy to her.
My take is that I have noticed there's a ghost thing about it. Fuel subsidy, fuel stay is a ghost. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is it's doing for us or the people out there. But I still believe that there's this small number of an elitist group who gain from these things called subsidy. I don't know what it is. But however, we actually cannot blame this many that cannot partake of, talks like this, because a lot of us don't even know. I say us because a larger number of Nigerians don't even know what fuel subsidy means. They don't know how it translates to their everyday. So that's my take. That's what I'm talking about.
As the issue of fuel subsidy lingers, it can only be said that this will be the first major test the present administration will pass through, and Nigerians are hopeful that the government will take the best measures to solve all the situation.
The Consumer Protection Council (CPC) has launched an investigation into the operations of MultiChoice Nigeria owners of DSTV based on complaints of alleged consumer rights violations. The council said in a notice of commencement of investigation signed by its Director General Dukbe Atuki that it has been inundated with a barrage of consumer complaints, alleging wide range abuse of subscribers' rights. The regulatory agency noted that despite its earlier interventions and forms of meetings with the satellite company, telephone and written respondents, complaints have been pouring in unabated against the company. According to the notice of investigation, CPC noted that there are claims that the DSTV service does not conform with international best practice and is specifically designed to exploit Nigerian consumers. It pointed out that the consumer complaints against DSTV include poor quality of service, such as incessant disruption of service without compensation, while subscription is current, abrupt disconnection of service during substituting subscriptions, monthly subscriptions lasting less than 30 days, and poor redress mechanism and consumer services, amongst others. It said include poor implementation of decoder swap policy and effecting price increase for subscriptions despite payment before due date of increase. The council disclosed that its investigation would involve receiving relevant evidence and documents from complaints, MultiChoice satellite broadcast exports, and any pertinent witnesses, including relevant sector regulators. The European Commission has provided 21 about 4.9 billion naira to help the populations in Nigeria and neighboring countries that are affected by the violence inflicted by Boko Haram. In a statement on Saturday, the EU Commissioner for Humanitarian Aid and Crisis Management, Christo Slins, while on a visit to Nigeria, said more than 1.7 million people have been displaced by the terror of Boko Haram. Many of them live in precarious conditions in other parts of Nigeria or the neighboring countries. According to him, all possible efforts should be made to ensure that humanitarian organizations can be there for those who need their help. According to the EU, the new aid comes on top of relief that the Commission is providing to the most vulnerable people affected by food insecurity and malnutrition throughout Nigeria and neighboring countries. The violent conflict in northeast with indiscriminate attacks on the civilian population has displaced 1.5 million people within the country and forced over 230,000 people to flee to neighboring Niger, Cameroon and Chad. It's CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with business, sports and stories outside Nigeria. Just stay with us.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that should be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it's just about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power. In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
Come back. Hundreds of people have flocked to the African American church in which 9 parishioners were shot dead in South Carolina as it reopens for services. Security was tight ahead of the service, which started at 9:30. A black cloth was placed over the chair of Reverend Clementa Pinkney, one of the victims of the attack. Police say they are investigating an online post, possibly by the gunman, which appears to outline his motivation for the attack. A rally was also held in the city by the Black Lives Matter movement, which began after the 2013 acquittal of George Zimmerman over the killing of an unarmed African-American teenager, Tavon Martins. In South Carolina's state capital, Columbia, protests took place to demand the removal of the Confederate flag from the Capitol building. The flag was a symbol used by Southern states in the Civil War when they tried to break away to prevent the abolition of slavery. It is viewed by many as a sign of the white supremacy advocated by those states at the time. The protest followed U.S. President Barack Obama's remark that the flag belonged in a museum. Al Jazeera has urged Germany to immediately release its journalist Ahmed Mansour, who was detained at a Berlin airport at the request of the Egyptian authorities. Mansour, a senior Al Jazeera Arabic TV journalist, was arrested at Berlin's Tegel airport at 13:20 GMT on Saturday as he tried to board a Qatar airline flight from Berlin to Doha. In a phone call, Mansour told Al Jazeera that he would remain in custody until Monday, when he will face a German judge who will decide on his case. Mansour was sentenced in absentia to 15 years in prison by Cairo's criminal court in 2014 on the charge of torturing a lawyer in Tahrir Square in 2011. He denied the charges, and in October last year, Interpol rejected Egypt's request for an international arrest warrant against him. Al Jazeera dismissed the accusation as a flimsy attempt at character assassination against one of its leading journalists. The arrest of Mansour comes 2 weeks after Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visited Germany. Sisi has largely suppressed dissent in Egypt. Thousands of activists and political opponents have been arrested, persecuted, and in some cases sentenced to death since former President Mohamed Morsi was deposed 2 years ago. Mansour's lawyer, Saad Jebba, told Al Jazeera that his client's arrest was politically motivated. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has led thousands in a mass yoga program in the capital Delhi on the first ever International Yoga Day. Modi did stretches, bends and breathing exercises with 35,000 school children, bureaucrats and soldiers. Security was tight in a city with thousands of police and paramilitary deployed for Sunday morning's event. Millions of others are expected to do yoga at similar events planned in hundreds of Indian cities and towns. Modi, a yoga enthusiast who says he practices the ancient Indian art daily, lobbied the United Nations to declare 21 June International Yoga Day. Thousands of colorful mats were laid out on Pajath King Avenue, where the main event was held. Officials had earlier said the Prime Minister will attend the event and address the gatherings, but not do yoga. But Modi surprised participants by joining in with the exercises. Authorities said 35,000 people attended a 35-minute yoga session at Padra Meet, aimed at setting a new Guinness World Record for the largest yoga class at the single venue. Guinness officials said they would announce the result in a few hours, and according to the Indian Defence Ministry, yoga was also being performed on the Saj Glacier at the high seas. As Nigerians grapple with the challenge of epileptic power supply, experts put the annual spending on the purchase of petrol and diesel for running generators by Nigerians at 3.5 trillion naira, amounting to 17.5 trillion naira in the past 5 years, and the former President Goodluck Jonathan administration. With huge potential for increased sale of generators, importers have turned the country into a dumping ground, fleecing the citizens of their money while supplying substandard generators to them. According to the President Good Governance Initiative, a non-government organization, Festus Mbisiagu A research conducted by the group showed that the manufacturing sector spends over 800 billion naira yearly on generators. He added that in the banking sector, each branch spends over 4 million naira on diesel in a month, and at the home front, an average family man spends between 60,000 and 100,000 in a month on fuel, apart from the maintenance. The National Bureau of Statistics put the total number of SMEs in the country at over 17 million, many of which rely on generators to run their businesses, as the country continues to grapple with abysmally low power generation. Meanwhile, former Minister of Communications Technology, Omobola Johnson, had during her tenure said that the country would need 33,000 additional base stations between now and 2018 to boost quality of service. This means telecoms operators will spend more to fuel their generators if the country's power supply situation does not improve. In the face of the enormous cost Nigeria business contend with, most business owners are optimistic that the new era of government will rise to stem the tide. The Kogi state government says it has begun the distribution of 232 million naira loan and grants to 145,000 farmers in rural areas of the state. A statement issued in Lokoja by the special advisor to the state governor on media, Jacobs Eddy, said the grant would be given to farmers on the platform of Nigerian Agricultural Payment Initiative e-wallet system. According to the statement, the loan aspect of the package is being disbursed in phases by the state government in partnership with the Kogi Farmers Cluster Development Union. It said 145,000 rural farmers selected across the 21 government in the state had been listed to benefit. The statement said Governor Idris Wada described the development as a significant step in the country's quest to achieve food sufficiency. The statement also quoted the governor as saying that the loan, apart from boosting food production, will enhance wealth creation among rural farmers. It noted that each of the farmers would receive 160,000 naira loan, which would be paid back with 5% interest. And though the Sunshine State is fast living up to its name, as it is poised to have its own shopping mall due to be ready for business by September 24, 2015. This was disclosed by the developer of the project, Tokumbo Omishore, who took Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko on a tour around the facility of the proposed Akure shopping mall. Details in this report.
Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko has registered his satisfaction with work on the proposed Akure shopping mall after it was conducted around the premises of the state's new shopping mall with all the members of the State Executive Council by the developer of the project, Tokumbo Omishore. Mimiko says the shopping mall will raise the commercial and economic activities of the state, adding that the project, which was conceived through public-private partnership program, is one of the measures put in place to improve the lives of the people and to provide direct and indirect employment for about 1,200 people.
Our dream is that this corridor from the shop mall up to the International Event Center would be a destination for those who want to shop, for those who are coming for leisure, for those who come for International Event Center. And moving forward, we are looking forward to 2 major hotels here, minimum of 4-star standard, to complement the development taking place in this area. Those who say that when a motel has been sold and they don't really know what they're talking about.
The governor added that the state will take full ownership after 30 years in line with the agreement for partnership. He affirmed that the only contribution of the state government to the project is the land and no single kobo was contributed. For the project manager, Tokumbo Omishore, such kind of project is capable of transforming the economy of any state if given the right attention.
I beg of the government not just to pay lip service to this very vital need, but to look beyond the manufacturing, the agro-processing, and also consider the tool, because a mall The shopping mall is a tool to showcase an infusion of this manufacturing and agro. A shopping mall to the retail sector is an infrastructural development. And why?
The governor also assured Ondo residents of his administration's resolve to revolutionize the state's internally generated revenue.
And from Ondo State, we'll bring you sports reports now. Another crisis of confidence seems to be brewing between the Nigerian Football Federation and national team coach Stephen Keshi, as the federation has promised that it will be investigating the national team coach's alleged application to be coach of the Ivorian national team despite being employed. Though Keshi has denied applying for the job, the Ivorian Football Federation has, however, in a bold move, published the name of every man that has declared interest to replace Haven Renat as the coach of the Elephants, including Stephen Keshi, who is still employed by Nigeria, having signed a new deal in April. The Ivorian Federation, FIF, disclosed last Friday that 60 coaches are in the run to succeed AFCON winning coach. The coaching position of the Ivorian national team has been left vacant after the Frenchman quit to return to club football with French League One side Lille in May. The FIF, after closing doors to applications last Monday, has released the complete list of 60 applicants, with Yelato Silu the only local coach to have submitted his CV. Silu has been coaching club side Sunny Ella in Equatorial Guinea. A quite surprising name to have popped up in the list as having declared interest in the job is Keshi, who had only got re-employed as coach of the Super Eagles team 2 months ago. The FIF has submitted the list of candidates to a Benjamin JJ-led commission to prune down to a suitable list of 5 coaches, from which 3 final candidates will be presented to the Federation's Executive Committee for final selection. The Ivorian Football Federation, FIF, intends to announce Verb's Reynolds' successor in the beginning of July. Nigeria and Seattle Sounders striker Obafemi Martins has promised to return to action as soon as possible, despite being ruled out for a period of between 3 to 6 weeks after suffering abductor hip injury. The former Inter Milan forward was injured in a U.S. Open Cup game Tuesday night as the defending champions Sounders crashed out by losing to Portland Timbers 3-1 after extra time. He then underwent an MRI the following day, which revealed the extent of the injury. The 30-year-old thanks his fans for their love and kind words following his injury. The former Newcastle United striker only recently came back from the broken nose and has also missed time with a febrile contusion this year. Martin's injury will be a huge loss for the Sounders for the next month and a half to 2 months, especially as striker partner Clint Dempsey has been suspended for 3 games by Major League Soccer and fined after he tore up the referee's notebook during the U.S. Open Cup game. Martins, who arrived in Saddleback in March 2013 from Lavent and made an immediate impact, has established himself one of the most dangerous players in the league with his speed, skill and goal-scoring ability. Despite being limited to 12 appearances across all competitions this season, Martins has scored 8 goals to go along with 4 assists. Coach Samson Siasia has invited 8 members of the Flying Eagles to the Dream Team camp ahead of next month's game against Congo. Nigeria under-20 handler Samson Siasia has invited 8 members from Manu Garba's Flying Eagles to the Dream Team V1 squad ahead of July's Africa Under-23 Championship. Congo will attempt to stop the Nigerians from qualifying from the competition, which serves as qualifier for the football event of the Rio 2016 Olympics. Topping the list is Manchester City Kelechi Iheanacho, who enjoyed a little playing time at the 2015 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand. It's CoreTV Prime Time News, and that's where we call it a wrap. Thank you so much for staying on with us. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Gift or Gete. Wishing you a good night. Bye.